So I'm going to read, it's a collection of poems. I'm going to read the introduction, I'm going to read the first poem in the book, I'm going to read the last poem in the book, and I'm going to read the afterword. All right? So I'm going to do 4 parts. And it should not take more than 10 minutes. Introduction, the short story. On 16th December 2019, while running down the road, trying to unwind after a day of teaching high school English, I was hit from behind by a truck driving at an estimated speed of 40 miles per hour. Luckily, if that can even be said in that instance, this occurred in front of a fire station, and the EMT on duty responded immediately to resuscitate me. I remained in a coma-like state for over a month in a hospital. I was transferred to a nearby rehabilitation center on 31st January 2020. My wife, Denise, and my son, Eli, took a trip to Florida during the February break that we had booked together before I was hit. Eli was only 7 years old at this point, and my wife wanted to keep some aspect of normalcy in my son's life as we were all coming to terms with what had happened to me and what was happening to all of us. My first real memory is eating dinner virtually with Denise and Eli on Valentine's Day. We shared the meal via FaceTime, a precursor to the 2 years of virtual life that was to follow due to COVID-19. I wrote the first poem of my new life a few weeks later on the day of a race that I had registered for before I was hit. This book chronicles my recovery through the written word over the year following the incident that changed my life forever. I was unaware of my situation at first, and I'm not even sure as I write this introduction and assemble all these words into a collection where this will end up for me. The one thing that I know is that I believe in luck more now than I ever did. What follows is my most honest documentation of 2020, captured as I slowly became conscious of my situation, my changed mind, my memory loss, my permanently altered body, and a steadily adapting world. I was an amateur runner and poet. I was a father, a husband, and a teacher, and I'm trying to find all these things again. Words are one of my passions in life. I have always used writing as a coping mechanism from the time I was in elementary school. It has stayed a huge part of my life for a long time. During the past few years, I have used poetry to help me recover both mentally and physically. Where necessary, on days where I was anxious, I wrote more than one set of words down. Throughout this collection, I have selected the poems that I feel best capture my life. Other than the selection and some minor editing for spelling, these poems are unrevised. They honestly show my experiences and progress over the year when nothing seemed to be going right for anybody. All right, that's part 1. Part 2, this is the first poem I wrote when I was out of the coma. Half Whole, 24th February 2020. Half whole and wondering when I'll run again. Trapped indoors, unable to walk still, but then I never really was. Life as a nightmare to all my visitors, those who come to my domain for an hour or two. Left later, I lie in bed and eat fruit-flavored candy like Swedish Fish and Skittles after I urinate in a jar. The end is near as I sleep in past Colchester Half Marathon. It was today and I couldn't go. And I'll go to the last poem. So this is the last poem I wrote. This was on the 1-year anniversary. I'm one again. 16th December 2020. I feel like it's my birthday, but I shouldn't feel like celebrating, but I do. A year I will never forget. A year I will never remember. But this year probably feels like that to most. Trying to forget 20 while I'm trying to remember it. Imagine waking up in February without knowing where you are or how you got there. That was me. The amnesiac, alive, with a limited past that grew back spotty since. I did most of what they asked, but ignored some of the rules. I was considered a high fall risk because, among other things, I refused to wait on my bed. Impatient. It has gotten me this far. I'm not there yet, but I'm still thankful. And then the afterwards, and this is the part I really want to revise a little bit because I wrote this afterwards, so it's very short. So this is part 4, afterward. This was a year of my life, and there have been more. The clock keeps ticking, despite our attempts to stop it. And that's it. And that's my story.